Greetings from Woodturning with Dick. Now, yeah, okay, you've seen the t-shirt. Sister bought it for me, a bit of a joke. She saw how popular the Apple video was. Put the Apple on a t-shirt with, yeah. Am I supposed to wear this out in public? Pass. But it'll do for the workshop. Hey. If you saw the Purple Heart wall hanging piece, I gave various options of doing galaxies and love hearts and all sorts. I want to do that again, but I want to make it out of bog oak, and I really like the natural edge on bog oak. Kind of want to combine all of that, perhaps mix in another wood, because the bog oak that I've got isn't big enough for a nice big square rather than the smallish one I had last time. Doing a square on a lathe, you're impeded by the swing. Here is the bit of bog oak I'm going to be starting with. Not all of that, a lot of it, probably about 2/3. What I want to do is have half of that on the bottom of the piece, half of that on the top of the piece, and in between, God, wood is so heavy, man. In between, about 20 centimetres of this. Now, as to what the final, how many grooves, how many bowls, how many V's or whatever I'm going to put into it like I did on the Purple Heart, when I've got it all fused together, I'll draw it all out on the piece and work out where my dips and where my grooves are going to be. But ideally, I only want a few, so that when it separates out, it's only got a very basic spiral into a galaxy. Let's get cutting some wood. So you can see the bit I want. Once that's levelled off there, and I'll level off past that bark and that chunk at the top taken down, I'll have myself a plank a similar depth to the Ripple Sycamore. Right, time to make a mess. As you guessed, I separated the bog oak to make it a bit easier to plane and get the right depth I wanted. Now, the natural edge, that's all going to be taken back with a wide brush on a drill or the grinder, because it's just so flaky, there's no sense in keeping it. It'll also work as a cushion when I fuse the other piece of wood in between, the Ripple Sycamore. I've trimmed these to length, squared these up on the sander, so that's all ready to go. I've done the same with the Ripple Sycamore. A little bit of height difference in a couple of places here, but I'll take that down later probably with the sander. The whole of this outside edge needs to be smoothed nicely. I've spent a long time deciding how many rings, how it's going to be gilded, which way it's going to go, and then I came up with a brainwave. That was going to be the top, that was going to be the bottom. If this is the top and this is the bottom, when that's staggered like the galaxy, you can have these lovely step marks. You watch and see. In my head, on my drawings, it's going to look pretty decent with the natural edge on the sides, which will be quite visible because it's on the sides rather than the top and the bottom. Jackpot. Let's get it glued up. I'm quite excited about this now, even more than I was. Dry fit first, just to make sure everything's as it should be. That works, just need some glue in there now. I'm running low on Titebond 1, so I'm going to use some Titebond 2. Premium wood glue, #1 selling formula, water resistant, interior and exterior use. Not that I want this on the outside of someone's house. My new gloves still haven't arrived, so I'm using these. Yeah. Good enough. Successfully glued together. There's several things left to do before I can go any further. Faceplate doesn't work on this occasion because the screw holes fall too close to the top of the V's that I've planned to put into this piece. So, easy solution to that is to drop a Forstner bit in here on the drill stand. Before I do that, quickly clean up the back here, make sure that's nice and flat for when it sits on the drill stand plinth. For something this size, I'd normally sink an 80mm Forstner bit into the middle there, but that falls outside my lines. So the next size down that I've got is a 54mm. My chuck will just squeeze in there, and it's only on there for a little while I turn the back out. There's a bowl going in the middle here, and I want to do that bowl as deep as possible. So I'll put a bit of sacrificial wood on the back. Offcut from the Sycamore plank. Got some knots in here, not here, big cracks and splits. It's the very end of the plank, so there are going to be splits and cracks. If I chin off that there, glue this block on the back, and then put my chuck grip in. I also need to run this through the table saw, just clean up this outside edge so everything tallies up beautifully. And then, once I've done that, double check that that center point is still that center point. I want that perfectly even between there and there. Right, so yeah, a few things to do. Let's get on. While that's drying on the back, blocked it up so it's all the same level. I'm going to take this front face down. All I need to do is concentrate on the areas that aren't going to be turned out, which are basically the corners and the very edges. Let's get sanding. Well, that's everything done that I wanted done. I've trimmed down the outside edge, I've smoothed off these edges. I didn't catch that bit on video for you. I've finished the front face off, I sand and seal it all. I haven't waxed it because there's no point at the moment. I'll do that later. Just going to turn the chuck grip on the bottom and then we can turn it round. So this is the first turning on. Obviously I've checked that it clears all areas. Everything's nice and tight again as usual. There we go. Hey! That's not too sad at all. That's looking quite smart with the white and the black. That really does contrast well, doesn't it? Almost a shame to cut it up into pieces. All went well, a bit slow, lots of stopping, lots of starting, lots of measuring. I've got an exact distance of 35mm between here and all these. I've got a graduating height of the top of these coming down that way. I've got a graduating height from the bowl, this one, this one, this one, slightly deeper as you get towards the middle. Not sure how that's going to work when I splice it all up and spread it across, but I think it will be okay. I really do. Just a shed load of sanding now. I'll come back to you just before I'm about to sand and sealer it. It's sand and sealer time. My favourite bit. You should know that by now by watching my other videos. But my new gloves have arrived. Yay! Turning the rippled Sycamore was like turning butter. It was so nice. Came off in lovely little swirls with a nice sharp tool. Absolutely heavenly. If you've watched this video and you've enjoyed it, can you just press the subscribe button, encouraging me to make more videos, spending the time editing them, filming them, etc. And I want to share the things I make and give people inspiration to make things themselves, tips and hints and tricks. And it encourages me if you just press that subscribe button and like the video. That'd be nice as well. One button click. You can do it while you're watching the video. Not one of these that's going to mention please subscribe in every single video I do, but it would be nice if you did. Bog oak's lovely in black against the white or very light brown rippled sycamore. I'm not going to make the same mistake. I am not going to make the same mistake. I am not going to make the same mistake that I made when I did the purple heart. I'll give that a chance to dry, then I'll denib it and do a very quick video showing the waxing. Please do leave me a comment, let me know what you think. I always reply to my comments. Feel free to start up a conversation, because I will converse with you via the commenting system, because I'm nice like that. Not bad. Time to cut you up. 9 cuts, 11 pieces. I will not make the same mistake as the purple heart. Well, I finished cleaning them up by running up and down the table on this nice piece of sandpaper, just 120 grit. I know which pieces I want gilded for what pattern it's going to create. You're going to have to wait just a second. I'm going to mark them up, exactly which ones I want gilded, because I'm going to give them to her as a round. Although the piece doesn't need it, everything I do does have gilding. That's what we do. So, wait and see exactly what I've got planned for this piece. Okay, so it's champagne gold. A lot of tidying. I've got a lot of the champagne gold has gone over onto the areas that I finished so very carefully, but that's part of the joys of gilding. So I've got a lot of tidying up to do, which I'm not going to bore you videoing all of that and showing you all of that. But what do you think? Finished? No, it's not, because this is what I wanted to do. The champagne gold works really nicely. It's really close to the tones of the rippled sycamore. It goes really nicely with the bog oak. Jackpot. Happy with that. Right, let's get them tidied up. Clean up complete. I've been over every edge here with wire wool, sandpaper going with the same direction of the grain. I've cleaned up every little last bit in between. Might be a couple of specks of dust laying around. I've picked all the gilding out of the grain of the bog oak, because the bog oak's got quite an open grain, so it does really kind of sink into the grain. Next thing I need to do is glue it together. I've thought about this for a while, and the easiest way of doing it is taking those 3 and those 3, glue these together first, because I've got a slight step in height. I mean, we're talking a fraction of a millimetre, but I want to get those all nice and flush on the top there. These ones doesn't matter so much because they don't touch, but these ones and these ones, slight difference in height. So when I glue them together, just going to make sure that they're 100% flush. Let's get those out of the way carefully. Leave those alone for probably 24 hours, then I'll glue the rest in. That's all those glued. Lovely. Let's get the other ones. And then the last things I've got to do, I've got one half of a French cleat to put on the back, nice metal one there that you've seen in previous videos. Give this top surface a nice wax, being very careful of the gilding. I pre-thought the hanging process and marked a little arrow to remind me which way I had decided which way it's going. I've just drilled the holes. There's my French cleat. There's the other half that goes on somebody's wall at home. They can use 2 screws, would be plenty to hold it depending on what surface they're attaching it to. But there's the option of 4 holes. But that fits in there, oh, lovely. And provides plenty of stability, and it isn't visible from any which angle, which is lovely. I've checked my screw length, make sure it doesn't go through the piece. It's rather important. I think I would probably cry if it did go through. But it won't, because I've checked it. It will not. And magically, it stays upright without any support on the back, just sitting on the bench. It's rather cool. Anyway, there you go. Box. Need to make a box for it now, I suppose. But wait. Here's one I made earlier. It even has a little compartment for putting the bracket for the wall for the customer. Hee. Ta-da! Thanks for watching, guys.